What's going on, everyone? It's your Apex news guy here, and today we have a lot to uncover after yesterday Apex Pro took it to Twitter to expose once again how the skill-based matchmaking is actually working in Apex Legends. And this was after Apex said that they were supposed to be changing the skill-based matchmaking as well. It seems like there is a lot of conversation lately about SBMM, and of course all sorts of fans and perspectives come in on this, and we have a lot of opinions as well and a lot of frustrations, and even citing back to sources from the Apex developers themselves talking about how skill-based matchmaking is supposed to work. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with all things going on inside the Apex news world. And without further ado, let's dive into what's going on in the Apex Legends community. So last night, pro player HisWattson and also content creator for Team Furia took it to Twitter after many people started to get frustrated regarding skill-based matchmaking. And of course, this conversation seems to come up a lot. However, he decided to once again expose how the skill-based matchmaking actually works. And so we've had a lot of conversations in the past, and even Sammy Duck, one of the actual developers for Apex, explaining how skill-based matchmaking works whenever they decided to do this big matchmaking update a couple of seasons ago. So as Watson took it to Twitter to say, I've got a couple of comments about bot lobbies on my YouTube videos. And if you guys are wondering about the context here, oftentimes you see these YouTube videos with a lot of damage or a lot of kills, and it's so impressive. And although it is, I gotta say myself, I actually had a 4K Horizon game not long ago, and I thought about making a YouTube video on it, and I still might do it on my other channel. But I still think that, you know, a lot of these things happen and you really feel them in game that you're not really deserving of it. And HisWattson explains the reason why here as well, stating that Apex Legends trios and duos do not actually use skill-based matchmaking. It uses Eomm, which is engagement optimized matchmaking. EA has a patent for this, and it presumably used in all of their games. It does not care about putting you in a lobby with your same skill level. It wants to dictate basically when you succeed and when you fail in a way that will keep your brain as engaged for as long as possible. Your MMR for pubs is either very loosely or not tied at all to your actual skill level. Not playing will make your MMR go down, and playing will make it go up. So if you don't play for 1 week plus and then you come back and your first game is really easy, well, that's because it was supposed to be that way according to their own system. I can attest to this. It happens to me all the time. Another way to manipulate this is to purposely throw your games, and so when you start dying off the drop, or you're not getting any shots on whatsoever and you're just immediately dying whenever the game starts, your game will start to think that maybe you're a bad player, and it'll start to put you in some easier lobbies so that you don't get frustrated about losing so much. This actually happens to me a lot because I started to play no-fill teammates so that I could get better, and I started to get really big games like 4K damage and 20 kills and stuff, and I started to think, oh wow, I'm getting better. But truthfully, maybe I'm not. Maybe it's just simply the fact that the games are putting me in much easier lobbies, and that's why for so long you guys have been hearing me say that my MMR, my SBMM has gotten better, and I think it's because of this reason. So he goes on to say that basically when you come back from not playing for a while, you'll get into a lobby full of bots, and it's so easy. 3 hours later, your lobbies will be 6 squads alive, round 2, and everyone is omega sweat. Take another week break and you'll get easy lobbies again. This can be very easily tested, and as someone who frequently goes into weeks without playing pubs and then binge 10 to 20 hours straight, it is so blatantly obvious that it is happening. And actually, this is how a lot of your big YouTubers get a lot of their gameplays. Not trying to throw shade or say this, you know, or say that, you know, they needed to be discredited, but it is true. During my 27-hour stream, he says, I had not loaded into a public match within 2 to 3 months beforehand. The lobby started out pretty easy, and after about 3 to 4 hours, there was an immediate shift in how the lobbies were actually playing out and the level of players that were in them. By the end of all of this, I basically was only fighting 3 stacks, and I would get skipped in queue for up to 10 minutes straight before I would finally get put into a game. If you just look at the first 1 to 2 games of my videos, yes, it may look like I am bot lobbying, but if you watch the rest of the video and understand how Eomm works, it is very obvious that I am not using the bot lobby glitches. He then goes on to share a 7,000 damage game that he had with 20 kills as well, saying that the image below is my first game after a 7-day break from pubs. It was probably the easiest lobby I have ever played in, and honestly, the game had potential to break the damage record as well. If I played for 3 to 4 more hours, I would literally bet my life that it would go back to being super sweaty and super unfun lobbies as well. Now, of course, we have heard of this Eomm system before, and I actually made a video on it 3 years ago when people first started to talk about it, but it wasn't too long after, maybe a year or two, when Apex finally came out and did debunk this, saying that they do not use Eomm at all. But then they would go on to explain what they actually use, and it basically sounded just like Eomm. It more so sounds like they're, you know, kind of just steering away from the actual term itself. So someone would actually comment this, because I couldn't find the tweet of the dev confirming this. It existed out there, I just couldn't find the tweet, and other people started to comment the exact same thing, saying that devs have already said that Apex is not using Eomm. I think that they may not be using the patent. However, they're darn sure using some form of their own Eomm. Even one of the replies here would go on to say, I like how the matchmaking post from last year basically said, no, we do not use a Big Brother matchmaking system, but we actually do. Contradictions were all throughout the post, and we all know good and well that live service games want to use some form of engagement type of matchmaking. I think the big argument here today is the fact that Respawn actually said that this was supposed to change in some form or fashion, and it's still in 2024 does not feel like it has at all. This was actually a former tweet that Alpha Intel had put out 2 years ago nearly, saying the current SBMM and system in Apex Legends is going to be changed within a couple of months per Respawn. So this is supposed to happen the early beginning of last year. It will no longer be using a skill-based rating on the highest rated player in the party, but instead it will now be using, quote, something else, but yet we still don't really know what that is. And of course, I understand why I can't completely be transparent on some of these things, but I feel like we should probably know a little bit more. He said that SBMM will change, but for the moment it is based on the highest player in the group and will most likely mutate to something else. Surprise, surprise, mid-December / New Year. So that was supposed to happen obviously about a full 12 months ago. We will communicate more in the new year about this, and I hope it will allow for you to be able to play like with your wife or your kids or whatever and not be too crazy. Alpha Intel would go on to echo what these devs have said, saying that Eomm is not a thing in Apex Legends, but we know that it really is. Maybe not the official patent of Eomm, but some form or fashion most definitely. Now, oddly enough, the skill-based matchmaking conversation has really not necessarily been about public matches as much lately, because it does feel like many people are playing less pubs or playing the game less in general. Whenever they come back after taking their break, games feel a little easier. And well, it's because that's simply how they were designed to work. So if you come back after a break from trying other games and such, you might notice that the games are easier, and it's because they want you to have fun in this so that you'll actually come back. So it's surprising to see this come back into the conversation again and get a lot of people talking, because I feel like the biggest matchmaking conversation as of late has not necessarily been about public matches, but more so about ranked matches and how quickly this game wants to catapult you into a high MMR, make it literally impossible to play ranked, because inside the bronze, silver, and gold rank, you're still dying to 3-stack Apex Predators, all because this game thinks that that's the rank that you should be. But if that's the case, just make me that rank. So I'm very intrigued to know if we're going to be seeing another matchmaking update come in season 20, considering we have heard that a lot is about to change, and I've heard this directly from the developers myself. Of course, the developers love to overhype things as well about their game, but in a direct conversation and direct message, one told me that there will be a lot to talk about. Hopefully it's good news, especially with the ranked playlist. Interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. Of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date all things in the Apex Legends news scene. And until the next time, we'll see you all later, Gators.